Since the dawn of time, people have told stories about extraordinary divine beings who brought them knowledge and taught them many useful activities. Members of ancient cultures attributed to these beings extraordinary wisdom and versatility of abilities. In the past, people even believed that these mysterious beings were responsible for building their civilization. Stories of divine teachers were passed down by almost all ancient cultures. The Incas told of a mysterious being called Viracocha. The Persians described a god known as the Ahura Mazda who brings them knowledge. The great sage who taught the Egyptians was Osiris. In turn, the creator of the Mayan civilization was supposed to be the enigmatic Kukulkan. In other cultures we also find descriptions of intriguing characters such as Tangaroa, Bep Kororoti and many others. All these beings were distinguished by great knowledge and came to people from heaven. Are these reports about them just myths and legends? Did extraterrestrials actually make contact with the first humans a long time ago and help them build civilization? It is worth considering this issue by analyzing the accounts of perhaps the oldest of such teachers, the mysterious Oannes. The first highly developed civilizations developed in Mesopotamia, whose creators were such peoples as the Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians and Assyrians. The members of these cultures had a very developed religious belief system, in which there was a whole lot of divine stories coming from heaven. The most famous are the Anunnaki, a group of extraordinary beings led by Enki and Enlil. However, in Mesopotamia people also passed down a story about a group of 7 teachers called Apkallu who brought culture and civilization to humanity. Each of the 7 sages taught people imparting knowledge on various subjects. The oldest and most important of the teachers was a mysterious being whom the Sumerians and Babylonians called Adapa or Oannes. Accounts of this character have been handed down for thousands of years and were recorded by the Babylonian historian Berosus in the 4th and 3rd centuries BC. In his work History of Babylonia, he described this being as follows, in which he gave it the Greek name Oannes. In the first year Oannes appeared off the coast of the Erythraean Sea, which borders Babylonia. His whole body resembled a fish, only that he had another head under his head. Human paws attached to the tail underneath. His voice and tongue were human too. The description of Oannes' appearance indicates that he may have been dressed in something resembling a costume or suit. Of course, people of that time did not know modern terminology, so they described what they saw using the words and concepts available to them at the time. The term may be used to describe the spacesuit Oannes wore, while the human head beneath the fish head may be a description of the astronaut helmet Oannes wore that looked out through a transparent shell at the people of Mesopotamia. Human-like feet may have been a term for the specialized footwear he owned. And a fish tail can be a term for an engine or a device that provides the necessary ingredients. If Oannes were indeed a visitor from another planet, he would not be able to breathe freely without a proper apparatus. A moment later Berosus writes, "During the day the creature was among the people, but during this time it ate nothing or drank nothing." Seemingly irrelevant sentence. This turns out to be very important, because reports of beings who dwell among humans that they did not eat or drink anything can also be found in other cultures. In the Bible, the archangel Raphael, who accompanied the prophet Tobias, behaved in the same way. "I am Raphael, one of the 7 angels who stand ready and enter before the majesty of the Lord. You saw that I ate nothing, you only had a vision. And behold, I am ascending to him who sent me. Describe everything that happened to you." The cultures of the Israelites and the peoples of Mesopotamia intermixed with each other. So there is a possibility that the same being is described here. On the other side of the world, in the Amazon jungle, there is a tribe of Kayapo Indians who tell a story about a being called Bep Kororoti, according to their account. The divine teacher did not eat or drink anything and was dressed in something that resembled an astronaut's suit. The Kayapo Indians never had any contact with the Sumerians or the Israelites. Yet the description of the mysterious sage is amazingly similar. Berossos later described Oannes as follows: I became acquainted with his letters and teachings, and all kinds of arts. He taught them how to build a city, find places for temples, make laws, and he explained the principles of geometry. In other words, he taught everything so that the locals could make their lives more human. When the sun set, the creature of Oannes turned to the sea and spent the night there. Here we have a fascinating ancient description of a being that the Sumerians and Babylonians saw and tried to describe in their own words. The story of Anissa is so interesting that even the famous astronomer and science popularizer Carl Sagan became interested in it. In his book Intelligent Life in the Universe, published in 1966, he considered Oannes' description as an example of possible contact with extraterrestrials in ancient times. Sagan wrote that beings like Oannes may have been extraterrestrials interested in teaching humanity, and with their arrival there was a great cultural shift. Seemingly, it seems incomprehensible why a visitor from outer space should emerge from the sea instead of coming from the sky. In the stories of ancient cultures, however, very often the gods resided in seas or lakes, from where they got to the surface with the help of mysterious flying houses or balls of light. These days, we have many reports of UFO sightings emerging from or flying into the water. It is possible that if extraterrestrials visited our planet, their spaceships would rest at the bottom of seas and lakes so as not to scare the Earthlings. Not only Oannes came from the depths of the sea, for Wiracocha, Tangaroa, and Solomon's Adaro did the same. The story of Oannes is another example of an extraordinary teacher who taught the first people. Is it just a myth with no basis in reality? Or did characters like Oannes really exist? The amount of accounts of divine sages that we find in cultures that have no contact with each other is surprising.